Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young...
Welcome in, everybody, to another week of That Movie Show. Mike Wendt and Eddie McCabe taking you another week of movie talk. And we got a doozy this week. Eddie, how you doing?
You know, I've had a very interesting week.
I've
had a very interesting week. So, the theme has been music-driven entertainment, and I haven't even realized that it's been music-driven entertainment. But it started with me watching In the Heights. Then I found myself at an event to benefit the Actors Fund, the Broadway Actors Fund, and got to see A-list Broadway performers perform in a small theater to help benefit, actors on Broadway and stuff because of the global pandemic.
Locally or in New York?
In New York.
Oh, very cool.
And then I watched this movie not once, but twice.
It's music.
Because Mike goes, it's on Tubi. I'm like, all right. And so I'll just turn on Tubi. Well, at some point between when we recorded and when I decided to watch it, Tubi took down the original version of Cool as Ice.
It was literally up 2 days ago.
Yeah, so I had to watch the riff. Well, so I saw they only had the riff tracks version, so I had to, kind of in the same way that I watched the Christian Slater movie that I actually really liked,
Pump Up the Volume.
Yep. I had to watch it in a very similar way on YouTube, where I had to watch it in a playlist in 10-minute chunks, and it was like, oh, this is awful. Okay. And then I watched.
I'm starting to see where some of the anger is coming from.
Yeah, sure. So then I watched the riff tracks version, and that was my musical week of movies.
My gosh! All right.
And it was a weird. It was like a weird.
That's a very odd one. It was at least you got the Broadway thing in there, so you had a really like you said, A-list palate cleanser.
Yeah, I really did.
At least you had some good in there. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I haven't watched. What was the movie?
In the Heights.
Okay. So I mean, I've seen it every time I log into HBO Max. It's got the visual banner on mute.
Right.
So it looks to me like basically Spanish Harlem West Side Story type of thing. I don't know.
So
Hamilton did it, right?
Right. So it is the.
Is that his name?
Yes, that's his name. In the Heights is the movie of the month for HBO Max, right? It's they're releasing all of their big theatrical
the day and
movies.
date.
So the In the Heights is the current one. It was the one for June. And so it should be leaving soon, I think, because I think it's almost that month. I think you have basically a week left to watch it or something. So I watched it. Sure. I liked Hamilton. I saw it both on the stage. I watched the Disney Plus thing. I really like it. It's very well done. I like Lin-Manuel Miranda. He also did the soundtrack for Moana. I think he got snubbed because I think that the music in Moana is better and more timeless than that of La La Land. There, I said it. But I think that he should have won the Oscar for that. But
no argument.
Yeah, there we go.
That's not really a hot take. That seems pretty solid, aside from the rock singing. But
yeah, right. And so, In the Heights, I didn't really like it as much as I thought I was going to.
Sure.
So In the Heights was the musical that really kind of got him to be a A-list, guy in Broadway. That was basically
a play.
This was, yeah.
Okay,
and
I have no knowledge of this. Like I said, I haven't even seen the trailer with audio.
Yeah. So this was the first thing that everybody if you're a Broadway person, when he, so in the Broadway sense, when he made Hamilton
in the theater.
Yeah, in the theater. But in the Broadway sense, when he was releasing Hamilton to do Hamilton, he already had clout to have that be a thing, right?
Basically he did this as a play, and because this was successful, he had the ability to do Hamilton.
Correct. And then Hamilton became a cultural phenomena.
Right.
And so then phenomena. So then they did so then because they're making Hamilton an actual movie musical, they released it on Disney Plus. Retroactively, they made In the Heights a movie musical, right? I think it suffers from the exact same thing that, okay, this is going to be a terrible comparison because it's a much better movie than this, but the reason why I think these movies fell flat, at least for me, are the same. The movie Cats failed because it was a nightmare factory of CGI and like it was just a hellscape. So don't watch Cats. But the problem is that the music.
I hear it's great if you're really high.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 1,000%. But if
like
you go
comatose, I can't lift my arms anymore high.
Oh yeah, yes. You're on Quaaludes, like that scene in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Yeah, like that's that type of high.
Steve Madden.
Yeah. So Cats, the musical, is a series of vignettes and doesn't really have a plot. Yeah. Like it doesn't carry an actual like through line. It's very loose, but you're basically watching dancers dance live on stage in cat costumes, which like when you're swept up in the idea of like being in live theater, it works, right? And so that's kind of what ends up happening in The Heights, where it's like it sets this promise of like the neighborhood is getting gentrified and like they're gonna have to fight for their neighborhood. And like I didn't know anything about it before I watched it. I just saw the trailers, and like that's what all of the trailers seemed to make it look like, was that it was this like fight of their neighborhood for their identity. And it's not that at all. And it's just a series of vignettes and a series of things that in a movie don't work. Like it doesn't.
So it's basically the movie we're covering today.
It is exactly, but again, much better than the movie we're covering today.
You sure about that?
Yes, I am 1,000%. Right. But then leading into it, it's funny that you said West Side Story because one of the people that was there at this like gala of Broadway stars was the person that originated the role of Anita in West Side Story on Broadway.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and so it was great. She was there. She was fantastic. There were so many people there that were just like, you know, out there having a good time. So it was a live stream show. There was this like producer / writer like couple that was doing a daily show. You know much about those. But they were doing a daily show during the pandemic that they were just interviewing their Broadway star friends.
Okay.
And
sounds way more interesting and entertaining than what I was doing.
Oh, it is. It's basically if somebody that knew
I was
what
getting
they
drunk
were
and
doing,
tolerating an idiot.
Yeah, it's if somebody that knew what they were doing, like actually put together a show to, you know, and they had like an actual team and like guests that were like, you know, real people. It was nice. It was really cool. And so they had all those people physically in the space and they like got up and sang and did bits. And, you know, there was all kinds of like Kristin Chenoweth was there. You know, so she came in. Yeah, that's the thing is like there were a ton of people that I was like, oh, I know that person. I have no idea what their names are because like one, I'm bad with like star names. You know what I mean? I can remember every character they played, but I can't actually remember their real name. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing. My brain doesn't process that. It's a weird blind spot I have. But it's like, oh, you were in this and you were in that. There was a drag queen that was in RuPaul's Drag Race. Nina West was there, and she was amazing. She was so fun because drag queens are delightful.
All right. I agree. But I just find it funny that you just went through the fact that you can't remember these A-list Broadway stars' names, but contestant number 87 on season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race, she's awesome. I know her name.
Yeah, the reason is because like the person that plays Anna in the Frozen show on Broadway, very nice person, very beautiful singer, amazing.
Right. Sure.
She's not dressed up as one of those Felix the Cat wall clocks. So you see, that name doesn't really,
right. If she's not in costume as Anna, she's almost unrecognizable, is what you're saying.
Right. And so and again, her name is like, and again, I don't remember, but it's like Sarah Johnson. You know what I mean? It's just like something ridiculous as opposed to like, no, you're a ridiculous 7 foot tall woman, man. Like, and like everything about you is just larger than life. So you remember that. It's the same thing. Like, you know, if Andre the Giant walked in, you'd be like, I remember that your name is Andre because you're a spectacle to look at.
And I loved honeycomb cereals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. You're exactly right.
Well, it's okay. So the first part of your week was definitely enjoyable, but even with the movie that you watched and didn't really like, I can't tell. I didn't get a read on you.
Here's the thing.
It was a thing. It was free.
It's on HBO Max.
Right.
If you have HBO Max, watch it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
I probably won't, but sure.
Yeah, I don't mean you. I mean the royal you.
The one that I think it's coming out this week. The one with Don Cheadle and a few others. I forget the name of it, but I keep seeing that. Like, it's very weird because when I watch Hulu, my Hulu has ads because I get the cheap version, and it's weird seeing Disney Plus and HBO Max commercials on Hulu. I mean, Disney Plus I get because it's them, but seeing an HBO Max, it's like, well, what? Yeah. All right. You just everybody's just fucking everybody, I guess. We're weird. All in bed together at this point.
I watched a thing, so I'm a part of like weird Disney World groups on Facebook.
I think I've added you to most of them, or you've added me to some of them.
Either way, we've somehow ended up in a lot of these same circles. And somebody was
super jealous of Bill and Danny getting to be at that fucking fireworks thing last night. Just gonna say, and it was even better watching it back after the fact because there was no buffering issues. Bill, Wi-Fi sucks. I know.
Well, here's the thing: you're trying to live stream in a sea of people at Disney World
that are all live streaming at the same time.
Yeah,
like it was funny because I had YouTube on the second screen.
For people that don't know, Disney World has been without their nighttime spectacular. So every night at Disney World, all 4 parks have some sort of nightlife entertainment. Yeah. And when the pandemic went down, they took those away, obviously. Yep. And it's been something like 18 months since the castle show at Magic Kingdom has happened. Last night was the first one. Our friends Bill and Danny from a couple of park hoppers were there, and they live streamed it, and it was like, okay. The video quality was great after the fact, but so go check it out on YouTube. But live, it was just like, a sea of people. Go on.
Well, that's just it. And like I said, I had YouTube on the other screen, so I'm watching them, and then I'm like, all right, well, let's just see if everybody else is like that. And sure, but every time I clicked, they must have all been standing next to each other. Like all the Disney YouTubes that I follow had the same exact shot that Bill had, and I'm just like, you guys are all just kind of standing next to each other right now. Yeah. And it was funny because I would mute one and I could still kind of faintly hear others talking on the other streams. So you could kind of hear like Bill on this stream over here and this one over here, and then the overlapping. So, I mean, but ultimately it looked awesome. And being 2 hours away, I was like, I should have just gone.
You should have.
I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? But it was really shitty out.
It was.
Like, the weather has been garbage down here. And like, when I say that, it's like, it's inconsistent rain. Like, you can't plan for it. It just says rain, but it's like the other day, I went to the beach and because I had my breakfast and I'm sitting out back, and it's like, it's okay. I got no clouds in the sky. Like, it's a beautiful blue sky, sun is shining day. I'm going to get my shit. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to sit there for a couple hours and enjoy. I get to the beach literally as the darkest black cloud is rolling over the ocean. And I sat down and I'm like, I hope it's going out to sea. That's my hope. No. It wasn't. So it rolls right overhead. And I kind of did some amateur meteorologist math type of thing in my head. And I'm like, all right, well, I just sat down and it was way over the ocean and it just got here. So if I sit still, I can see the back of that cloud. It's going to pass right by 10 minutes tops. But the whole beach, which was crowded, it was a Saturday afternoon, just got up and started sprinting away. And I'm like, and I was basically like Walter in The Big Lebowski with his coffee. I'm like, fuck it, I'm staying.
Yeah, sure.
I'm staying, and I'm sitting there in torrential downpours in my chair, pissed off. But sure enough, about 7 to 10 minutes later, it was gone. Sun was out. I'm like, y'all suckers.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Just a little warm rain. It didn't hurt anybody.
That's pretty great.
Of course, I tell my mother that. She's like, well, it's the lightning you got to worry about. I'm like, I didn't think of that one.
Yeah, at this point, you're going to
I'm just some tall asshole in a big open beach all by himself. I guess I would be a conductor.
Yeah, I guess. That's pretty fucking funny. But But yeah, so when I looked at one of those groups that like follows all that sort of like Disney park stuff, they were talking about how like, oh, you can now get Hulu without ads as a part of the bundle. Right. So like before it was just regular Hulu with ads as a part of that like, $15 bundle,
well,
and now
you could pay the extra.
Yeah, look, it was an ad. It was an ad that they were paying.
Okay.
That was the ad. Yeah, of course, because that's the thing. It's so weird and messed up because like when my billing comes in for all of that nonsense, my Disney Plus comes in at like 10 cents or something because like the way that the billing all works is that it like I already had Hulu.
Yeah.
And so like it's just this weird thing that like it's the way it charged it. Right. And so it's like,
sure.
You get the bundle. And people were complaining that they were like, oh, ESPN is so stupid. Like, why don't you get something better like HBO Max? And it's just like people were just just complaining that it's just like ESPN is a part of this bundle. Why is like they should put Netflix there? They should do something. And it's just like, because you dum-dums, they don't own that one.
Well, here's the thing. They're partially not wrong. I've had the Disney bundle since Disney Plus was a thing, and I used ESPN Plus for the first time this week.
Yeah, so
because one of the UFC fighters from Peabody was fighting in one of the prelims on ESPN Plus. And I'm like, oh, I have that. Like, let me fire it up. And sure enough, I hadn't logged in at all ever. Yeah, and it's been a year and change of Disney Plus. I'm like, sure. Yeah, it's one of those wasteful things that like. On occasion, if you want to catch a UFC fight prelim or something, like
sure. So, like one of the things that I like about it is that ESPN Plus is also articles. You have to like sports, right?
I mean, I think next year it's going to be good because they got the hockey contract.
Right. It's also good if you like sports. It's good because obviously UFC is the big one. Right. I find it really stupid and annoying that it's like. You have the prelims, but like all of the other, like you still have to pay $60 to watch the fight to pay for it. So I hate that. I think that's stupid, but that's a different argument.
They'll change it when they stop making money.
Yeah, right. When people stop paying the $60 per pay-per-view. But anyway, the prelims are on there. That's really fun. You also get like out-of-market content. So, and like other sports. So like something that I love is rugby sevens. I really like watching rugby. Okay. And obviously we don't have a rugby league here, like in Massachusetts, or not in Massachusetts, in the United States. It's like publicly televised. Patrick Chung of all people, he either owns or plays for the Skipjacks. I found out about them because I was listening to the radio and he was on, and they're playing tomorrow. So
owns.
Yeah, but
owns.
But anyway, he's there's not an NFL of rugby. So, right. Plus I want to watch a bunch of Samoan guys from New Zealand be absolutely badass, and so you watch it on ESPN Plus, right? If you want to watch like that sort of weird stuff, there's all kinds of, if you're a soccer fan, you can watch all kinds of different leagues, the Bundesliga, Premier League, like all that sort of stuff, so you have to like sports. One of the things that I absolutely love and it's more specifically football related, all of the detailed mock drafts are like on the ESPN Plus stuff. Okay. And so it's like, yeah, look, here's the thing. That works for me. And if you're like, a big basketball fan or baseball fan, like there's content for you. But yeah, the normal everyday person, I could understand you being like, oh, I don't care about any of that. And it's just this thing I get in addition to.
Well, that's just it. Here's the thing. And because, like I said, I literally used it for the first time this week. Right. So obviously it's not, like I said, next year it'll probably be better because I'm a hockey fan and they got the hockey contract. Yep. But ultimately, Disney Plus and Hulu was worth the $12.99 for me.
Yeah, right.
Like, and ESPN Plus, great. Maybe I'll watch something on it. I don't know, but it wasn't like, oh my god, it's so much. Like, it wasn't like $24 because ESPN is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was I used to have YouTube TV and their prices, like it started at $35, which was great. As a cable replacement, I couldn't have advocated for it more.
Right.
As it went on, I had it for like 2 years. the price went up. It got to $65 when I canceled it, and it had dropped a shitload of channels, especially the ones that I watched. Like I had it back when I was living in Boston, and right before this past hockey season started, they dropped Nesson. So I'm like,
Sure.
okay, well, that was one of the things. That was one of the reasons I went with you guys as a cable replacement. And then it's like they kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And the reason the price was going up was they were adding stuff like Discovery Channel and Animal Planet. Like they were adding more channels, but it was never channels that I would watch. Like they added MTV, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna watch that, but I have to pay $12 more because you guys got the Viacom contract. It's like that, you know. So that whole thing happened. But ultimately with streaming, and this is where I've gotten, because the question comes up on social media a lot. You see people posting like, you know, what streaming service, I'm cutting cable type of thing. It's like it's one of those weird things. Like same thing when people ask about like what cell phone should I get. It's like only you can really answer that.
Yeah,
because what works for me definitely isn't going to work for you. Like you just listed off a bunch of really valid reasons that ESPN Plus works for you, and I didn't understand half of the words you said.
Yeah,
you know
right.
I mean? It's like,
here's the thing: there are shows that I watch. Like I have cable, and I still have cable, and I would not cut it only because there are shows that, like, first of all, one of the things that I watch is the NFL, and it's a pain in the ass to try and find live NFL games on any app. Although they just signed a thing with Amazon, and now like everything's going to be on Prime or something.
They're all going to get around to it.
But it's just like, no, I want to sit down in front of my television and I want to watch the Patriots on Sundays. I want to watch whatever game is on Thursday. I want to watch all the football on Sunday, and I want to watch Monday Night Football. Right. And the easiest way to do that is to just pay the cable. Right. And then I also enjoy shows like American Ninja Warrior, you know, and like watching that sort of stuff live. One of my favorite shows on television is The Masked Singer. I love, you know, for as much like cinema.
That was a massive reason why initially I went with YouTube TV, because it had all the local channels, and it had like the 5, the 4, the 7s, all the local channels. It had Nesson, so I was good with the Bruins and all that stuff. And then when they started dropping all the local stuff, I'm like,
oh, this isn't worth it.
Well, I don't give a shit. It's literally like, because all the cable channels, the TNTs and TBSs, are on either Hulu or fucking now HBO Max and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, it got to a point where I'm like, well, I'm paying double now. Because all the reasons, like the last reason left for YouTube TV was it had an unlimited cloud DVR. So you can DVR whatever the hell you want, as much as you want. The bitch of it was when I finally ended up canceling, I'm like, everything I have on the DVR I have on Hulu.
Yes.
And I'm still paying for Hulu. It's like this is done. This is done. I'm cutting $65 out of my life.
Yeah, the other thing too is that, you know, these companies got wise with the internet, right?
Sure.
And so it's like, oh, I'm already,
because you do need internet even for the stream, even when you cut cable.
Right. And so it's just like, it's the exact same thing with the phone, where it's just like, I technically have a home cell phone, or not a home cell phone. I have a home phone number. Right. I've never used it. I've never plugged a phone into the wall. I don't know what the number is, but it was cheaper to get the phone, cable, and internet than it was to just get the cable and the internet. And so it's like, it's the same thing where it was just like, oh,
maddening, isn't it?
Right. And it's ultimately been the same way with the internet, where it was just like, yeah, we just get the internet and we got all the stuff and it'll be fine. And then it was just like, oh no, it's for like $30 more. You get cable.
That's also, at least up where you are. That's very much a Comcast thing. Because when I had Comcast, I had the same thing. It was cheaper to get all three. And never once, I didn't even own a physical phone, let alone plug one in, which was always funny when the cable box had its caller ID and it would say incoming call. I'm like, who knows this number? I don't.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's my grandmother.
But when I switched and I dropped cable and I went with Verizon Internet, their internet was cheaper and a hell of a lot better. Like that was ultimately the reason I ended up getting rid of Comcast and cutting cable was because their internet was such dog shit. Yeah, like it got to a point the last like 2 months I was angry tweeting and on the phone with them almost on an every other day basis.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't getting any better. And at the time I was with Denise, and like I would go to work and she would work from home, and I'd be getting calls from her saying the fucking internet's not working again.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, this is nonsense. This is
I have
absolutely ridiculous.
I have FiOS now, and
Such
it's
a better-
amazing because
Yeah.
the like the NAI studios, it was a goddamn nightmare.
Oh, I
right?
remember.
My bedroom was literally above the router. Like the router was in the living room. My bedroom was above it, and the I couldn't get the internet in my bedroom. I mean, just like, are you for real?
You were at the apartment when I was in Belmont,
Yes.
right? And when we would record on the couch, the router was right in front of us. But remember that, and when we record on the porch, I needed 2 extenders just to get internet to the back porch. It wasn't a big place.
No.
That might have been a fucking 50-foot walk.
Yeah. Comcast internet blows.
Yeah, it does. Before we get to the movie, the trailer for The Many Saints of Newark, a Sopranos story, dropped this week. Did you watch it?
I did. I did watch the trailer because I like
thoughts?
trailers. I really like it. I'm also in a very unique and interesting position where I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a movie or if it's a new show. Okay. That actually makes me really excited because I have not watched The Sopranos. I think I watched maybe the first season or so.
Okay.
And so I would absolutely love to watch this movie first because I'm in this weird, like, my biggest issue with prequels, right?
You can almost watch The Sopranos like fresh for the first, like, it's a very cool place to be.
Yeah. So I'm really, it's one of those things where it's just like, I really want to get around to it, but everything has been like, you're going through the pandemic and it was on my list of things to finally knock off, but it's a lot easier to knock off The Office, which I had never watched, because that's fun. That, when all of the depressing
7 seasons of hour-long drama episodes can wear on you.
Well, especially when there's a global pandemic happening, you're stuck inside and there's an insurrection happening at the Capitol. You know what I mean? Like, when everything is bad outside, you kind of ended up tending to stay away from drama stuff. But it's always been on my list. I watched it I watched the first season, and then growing up at my parents' place, we didn't have HBO.
Sure.
My dad got it for The Sopranos for that first season. We watched it. But then he canceled HBO, and I'm 14 and I don't have a say in this. So I'm really excited to watch it. And my biggest problem with prequels, and I think I've brought it up on this show before when we've covered prequel movies before, is that I know the ending. I can't get emotionally invested in the danger that Han Solo is in the Han Solo prequels movie.
Sure.
Because I know he gets out of this danger, and so the same thing where it's just like, if I watch this movie that looks fantastic, that's a prequel to The Sopranos, I don't know, I ultimately know what happens to Tony Soprano because I'm alive and a person and I know how the series ends, whatever.
Don't stop believing it.
Don't stop believing. But at the same time, it's just like all of those ancillary characters, I don't know what ends up happening. So if somebody's introduced and there's some foreshadowing, I'm not going to know that it's foreshadowing until I actually watch the show. And that's really exciting.
So I'm very much the opposite. Was a diehard fan, watched I've probably rewatched it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. I got legitimate chills watching this trailer, especially because it's James Gandolfini's real son Michael playing Tony Soprano.
Oh, that's even better.
And holy shit, I get it, it's real life father and son, but the mannerisms, there was the first shot of him kind of cocking his head and he curled his lips and the way his front teeth were exposed and he just goes, "What did you say?" I was like, literally, like The Rock used to do. The hairs on my arms stood up. I'm like, holy shit. Cool. The kid nailed it. He nailed his dad. It was beautiful. And then, seeing some of the characters and a lot of it because it's a prequel and because Tony's a grown man when the series starts, it's like a lot of these people are more referenced in the story. Like his Uncle Dickie, again, I don't, it's tough because you haven't seen it, but like his Uncle Dickie, who's in the trailer, is Christopher's dad. You know, and he's referenced throughout it, but never actually in it. His dad and mom. I mean, his mom was obviously what the fantastic actress Marshawn was her last name. Played his mom in the series.
Karina.
Oh God, she was also with the chief in Naked Gun. Nancy Marchand. Marchand was fantastic as his mother, Olivia. But also there were scenes that were done in flashbacks. This time around, they got Vera Farmiga in it. And from the looks of it, she's looks like she's gonna, because she's been fantastic lately. Those of us from Boston will remember her appearance in The Departed. And her accent in The Departed. And my hope is that she kind of downplayed the accent part of it a little bit, because like she was wonderful in Bates Motel and the Conjuring movies. She's fantastic in. So she's a great actress. I just hope she doesn't like lean too heavy into a Jersey accent. And then, you know, the other characters, just like, obviously they weren't name checking everybody in the trailer, but there was enough parts of it where you're like, oh, maybe that's Polly and maybe that's Silvio, and you know, that sort of thing. And then of course his dad is played by John Bernthal, who was in Walking Dead and Wolf of Wall Street and the Punisher. And
he was also in one episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Well, fair enough. And so it just like it looks really good, and it was one of those things that like when it was announced I was like, I don't know, because The Sopranos is an amazing show. It's like top 3 Lifetime shows for me. And it's one of those shows. What are you doing? Leave it alone. You know what I mean?
It's really interesting because it's in that pantheon of shows. It's in that pantheon of shows that is like The Shield, Breaking Bad, like in that early
The Wire in there.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but
yes.
Okay, you have watched The Wire. Okay.
Yeah, and the early onset of like the evolution of television, right? Because without The Sopranos, we don't get like, especially from an
Vic Mackey. Without Tony Soprano, we don't get to Vic Mackey.
Right, and
I mean, so literally in the pilot episode, they say he's Tony Soprano with a badge.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's a line from The Shield.
Yeah, and you look at both of those shows, right? Because those are the 2 tentpoles that I kind of stick out. Because without the success of The Sopranos, we don't get HBO as a television juggernaut.
Sure.
And then it doesn't influence The Shield, and The Shield doesn't then influence that like, oh no, we can make these type of dramas on television, on like regular television. You know, because look at The Shield.
They turned HBO into a player, into a real player, going out winning awards type of player,
right?
Which before The Sopranos was really network TV only. And they basically, because of the success on that, the people at Fox were like, okay, well, let's make this other division called FX, and then we'll start doing our own, real type of TV and edgy TV and stuff like that. We'll start pushing the envelope even further and further. And from The Shield comes the, Sons of Anarchy, et cetera, et cetera. It's like
bad, like, and then it's
the
like
same thing with AMC doing the same thing. Yeah.
Right. And that's all that influence.
I don't want to say real television as if network TV isn't real television, but you know what I'm saying? Like they're able to, they don't have to be so
HBO doesn't have rules. Right. That's the thing, is HBO doesn't have rules, and FX still, for the most part, and it's changed. You can now say fuck. You can now say fuck on it on Paramount. You know what I mean? Because we don't get Yellowstone, which Yellowstone is fantastic. If you haven't watched it, it's one of the best new shows in the last 5 years. But that's like where we are now, right? And we don't get there without The Shield. And then the same thing with The Sopranos on the other side, because now you have shows like Dexter, Mad Men, and I know that Dexter was on Showtime, but like you have all of these shows that existed on these premium networks that wouldn't have been viable without The Sopranos.
And it's not just making it; it's making it well, and it's being successful.
Right. Game of Thrones does not happen because Game of Thrones is, say what you want about how it ends, but Game of Thrones does not happen at the quality and level that it happens. That's a movie. They made high fantasy movies for 7 years,
Right.
and that doesn't happen without The Sopranos. I wholeheartedly believe that.
And the hope. Now, I didn't up the trailer was the first time I saw the subtitle on it, a Sopranos story, which is kind of like a Star Wars story with Rogue One or Solo, which has me thinking it's like, okay, if this is successful, they might be trying to make something out of this. And I would be all for like a run of like every couple years, a prequel movie building up to the first season of The Sopranos type of thing.
Sure.
Because why not?
Right.
If they're good, they're successful, and I mean, it's why the fuck not? But yeah, it was one of those things that like I was really nervous as a Sopranos fan. When it was announced, I was like, I don't know. And when they cast James Gandolfini's kid, I'm like, it's nice, but I don't know. I've never seen him as an actor. I don't know. I was very hesitant and watching that trailer. I'm like, okay, they got me. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It looks awesome.
That's what I was hoping this would be. Like it looked awesome, and yeah, it gave me chills watching it. It was so cool.
And this is the type of thing that I love that these proprietary streaming networks now offer, because I don't know if they make this movie if it's the channel.
It was going to hit theaters. Like this this was being made before the pandemic. The pandemic fucked it up, and it got finished like recently. Yeah, but it was supposed to, basically it was supposed to be a theatrical movie, which is why it's on HBO Max day and date. So it's still going to come out in October in theaters.
Okay. Yeah, but like it's one of those things like kind of in the same way that like the Justice League movie, like the Zack Snyder cut.
Right.
You know, like I don't know if you don't have this proprietary streaming network in the pipeline,
that wouldn't have happened.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think that this movie gets made, because I don't like if you're just releasing it on HBO or just theaters, I don't think that that's necessarily viable just because we're so far out from The Sopranos. But the ability of its content for HBO Max is like, oh yeah, 100%. 100%. This is why you made that movie, as it downpours behind you.
Christ, have you seen that?
I could see it. It's a long Christ.
Yeah, it's really coming down. Anyway, ready for cool as ice? Drop that hero and get with the zero, or the other way around.
Yeah, the other way around. So
drop that zero again.
You fucked it up. You fucked it up, and we're gonna keep it, right? I'm not gonna give you a chance.
We're keeping it. We're keeping it.
There are movies that have musicians in them. They have musicians in them, and on one end of the spectrum is movies like 8 Mile and Blue Hawaii.
Sure.
And then on this other end of the spectrum is a movie like Cool as Ice and Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
All right.
Have you ever seen Michael Jackson's Moonwalker?
Yeah, Joe Pesci was in it.
Yeah, Joe Pesci.
I thought you were going to call out Captain EO, and I was going to have to come through the screen and fight you.
Oh, no, that is a cinematic Marvel. And it's
a Marvel. Francis Ford Coppola directed it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
That movie is wild. It is a wild thing. Yeah, it was fun. I actually got to go. Like,
Angelica Houston is like an android squid woman.
yeah, she's like an android squid woman that turns it beautiful once the power of dance or something. I don't know. It's a ride at Disney World, or it was.
It was. It's a damn shame that's gone.
Well, that and Honey, I Blew Up the Audience. Both are gone.
That was a great one.
You know, but they were in the Imagination Pavilion, and it was, they brought it back after he died.
Yep.
And so that happened around Disney Mania, and so we were able to see it because they put it back into the theater. So it was, I actually got to like experience it too with like the actual movie.
Still the 3D and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it was really cool. But
This is not
good. Cool as ice.
This is cool as ice. Let me just get this out of the way. Cool as Ice was released October 18th, 1991. It had a budget of $6 million. It had a box office of $1.2 million. It was written by David Stein. It was directed by David Kellogg. Stars Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
And a bunch of it stars TV's Michael Gross from Family Ties.
Yeah.
It stars the sister from Coming to America. It stars Deezer D from CB4. And Kristin Minter is the love interest here, and I think her biggest credit was she was the eldest cousin in Home Alone.
Okay.
That's where she's from. Now, if I was to tell you that the basis for this movie was a response to Ice Cube's involvement in Boys in the Hood, would you believe it?
Yeah, I could only imagine.
So the executives at SBK Records who had Vanilla Ice on payroll.
Sure.
First of all, To the Extreme was a phenomenon. It sold 15 million copies. He is probably one of the top one-hit wonders of all time with Ice Ice Baby. But it was such a thing that they
First
saw.
of all, two-hit wonder. Okay, don't you dare dare forget the ninja rap from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
I guess.
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
I guess, but that was a soundtrack. That was a thing. It was like an asterisk. You know, he actually released. He didn't release the album. It wasn't a Vanilla Ice album. It was a Vanilla Ice song. So that's hit. Like, you know, it's like you look at him. Because I have like comparisons to him and MC Hammer as well.
I was going to say
we're get
MC
into.
Hammer,
because they both kind of had the same career. Whereas like, let's just do it now. Where it's like all right, they got this great first album. Okay, right. MC Hammer had a little better follow-up album. He had Too Legit to Quit, so that's why I don't consider him a one-hit wonder. They both had the family-friendly soundtrack. He had Adam's Family Rap, I think it was called, and then the Ninja Rap for Vanilla Ice. And then they both
the same person. And then they
then they both tried to reinvent themselves as like hard versions of themselves, where Vanilla Ice kind of tried to do like the punk Rage Against the Machine style punk rock thing. Yeah. And then MC Hammer signed with Death Row Records and tried to do gangster rap, and it just didn't work.
Oh. No.
So it was like,
when you're the Grover of fucking rap, like you can't all of a sudden join the same record label that NWA is on.
It's like he's literally hanging out with Tupac and he's doing music videos in a thong, and it's just weird. Yeah. But anyway, yes. So the executives at SBK Records saw that Ice Cube was filming this movie called Boys in the Hood, and they thought, you know what? We got a rapper that can be in movies too. And they gave us Cool as Ice.
Yeah. The thing, so like
somebody forgot to tell him that the relevancy train had ended at this point of Vanilla Ice.
Here's the thing. I'm sitting here watching it for the first time in 2021. Right. So the relevancy train has left the station. It found a different train yard and it's rusting somewhere. Okay. So the most relevant thing that Vanilla Ice has done is his delightful home renovation show, which If you haven't watched his show, you definitely should. He has his own renovation show on Home and Garden, or one of those sites, and it's wonderful. He himself is very like, now that he is not this version of Vanilla Ice from Cool as Ice,
Right.
that's like taking himself too seriously. He's actually really
he thought he was so fucking cool.
right.
Like he literally thought he was Cool as Ice.
He thought he was James Dean. Like this entire movie, I'm sitting here watching him being like, oh, you saw East of Eden and you were like, yeah, I'm just going to do that. But like, then couldn't actually do that.
He never he might as well have winked at the camera after every line he said. He was so happy with himself. Like when he hit that drop the zero, get with the hero line, you could see in his face. He's like, fuck yeah. That's a trailer right there, bro.
Here's the thing. You just experienced how hard it was to get that line out.
It's not a good line. It's a shit line.
So, of course, when he finally nailed it, he was very happy with himself. But yeah, this movie, holy crap. Like, again, like 8 Mile is a movie, right? 8 Mile is a movie that has a plot. You know, Marshall Mathers is the star of that movie and does a great job carrying that movie. It's very well done. Great all the way around. Blue Hawaii is a movie that is essentially a music video after music video that is strung together with very little plot, right?
I mean, you could say that this is like what Elvis did for 33 movies is what they tried to do with Vanilla Ice.
That is exactly what they tried to do.
Yeah.
The problem is that Elvis is charming as fuck, and this guy is not.
No,
like
this guy is all the douchebaggery.
Yeah, like the thing is that you look at Elvis and like at some point in Blue Hawaii, he takes a girl over his knee and just starts spanking her, and you're just like, all right, it's Elvis. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Elvis was an icon.
Right.
Vanilla Ice had one hit at this point.
Right. And it's just like, here's the thing, man. You're not as endearing as Elvis. You're just not.
You're not.
Like, you're just not. And your songs aren't as good. Like that's the problem. Like, it's this weird mix because like Elvis in Blue Hawaii, because it's closer to that. Sure. Right. And in Blue Hawaii, all of the songs are his. Yeah. And so like that was the point of the movie. Whereas this one, not all of the songs are Vanilla Ice songs.
I believe the soundtrack had 4 new songs from Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, but there were others like.
Oh, there was definitely others. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like when you're just driving around, and I forget what song it was. But I'm like, yeah, this isn't a Vanilla Ice song, but you're just driving around. You're just driving around on this motorcycle.
And I mean the music breaks in this were constant.
Oh yeah,
constant. I mean, you watch the riff tracks one. It's like they said it. It's like, how can we make a movie that's 100% music montages?
Yeah,
well, we can't. But damn it, we're trying.
Yeah, like. The problem is that if the plot of this movie is like Smooth Criminal, the extended version with all of the like nonsense and like shit that happens into it, or like whatever that one he did with Michael Jackson did with Chris Tucker, there was like it was a short film. You made a short film.
Well, Michael Jackson did that a lot.
Right.
A lot of Michael Jackson videos started out as 9 minutes.
I don't know why I didn't jump to Thriller. There was
Thriller. He did I think it was Remember the Time, had Eddie Murphy as the prince in the opening, and Macaulay Culkin at the end, or something. Black and White. Black and White there was another one. Captain EO, of course, was a full-blown movie with Muppets.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so like that's basically what you made with kind of. Cool as Ice. But it was just because like the plot is stupid. The plot is so dumb. I can't believe how dumb this thing is. So like I can't tell at the beginning of the movie if they're just like cool friends or if he's actually supposed to be Vanilla Ice.
He's supposed to, well, his name in it
Is Johnny?
Johnny Van Owen.
Okay, so he's not Vanilla Ice.
He's never referenced by a stage name, but they are supposed to be a rap group.
Yeah, there's supposed to be some sort of rap group, I would assume, because like that's
which is why the kid was very enamored by him.
Yes.
It was never explained, but the kid was very enamored because he's supposed to be known, I believe.
Right. And it's like the whole thing is like super stupid.
Very
like
stupid.
It's written by a 14-year-old, like
well,
the movie.
I was looking forward to going through some of the IMDb credits on some of these people.
Sure. So here's the thing. Before we get to that, I do want to make one reference in the podcast. How did this get made?
Yes.
Jason Mantzoukas constantly brings up that the movie could be a Jacob's Ladder scenario. And for those of you who don't know, it was like he was on his deathbed the entire time. Like that's right. Basically the short and sweet of it. And I believe that Cool as Ice, for the first time, I would agree with him that it's a Jacob's Ladder scenario because somehow Vanilla Ice jumps a motorcycle with no ramp over a fence to just scare a horse girl. And she falls off of that horse, and I'm pretty sure she dies. And this is what happens after she's
this is her dream.
Yeah, she's having the dream while this asshole was just being a dick.
I like the fact that when she gets up from dying off the horse, that he blames her. He's like, yo, what's the problem? It's like, hey, dickhead, you just threw a motorcycle in front of an animal.
An animal that is notoriously skittish. Like you jumped a motorcycle.
What's your problem?
Like
his delivery stinks.
Yeah, well, the whole movie is like I knew I was in for a rough time when
There's
first
a 9-minute opening credits scene.
A 9-minute opening credits scene, and I'm like, all right, like again, this is gonna be far more Blue Hawaii, where it's like we're just gonna get from song bit to song bit. And it's just like, that's all right. That's fine. It's not going to be
great? The person who gets the second billing after Vanilla Ice is Naomi Campbell, and she's credited as singer in the first club.
Yeah. Sure.
Not the girl, not D's or D, not the sister from Coming to America, not Family Ties Michael Gross. Naomi Campbell, who is only seen in the opening credits sequence, is the second billed person. The agents on this were on fire.
And so we're 9 minutes in plus, and they're riding cross country on motorcycles. And now we already have our first continuity error of they're driving at night after this club. And it's like, did you drive all night? And now it's the middle of the day. Like, is that what's happening? And then Vanilla Ice calls his boy up so that they can talk on the motorcycle. And then they don't say anything.
Nothing.
And then he sees the girl riding the horse and just decides that he's going to jump the fence to talk to this girl.
You know what happened? The director saw Top Gun.
Yeah.
This was Tom Cruise on a motorcycle Top Gun moment, which was done so much better for comedic effect in Hot Shots. Plain and simple.
I also think it's hilarious that he has costume changes. But again,
kind of.
He has costume changes. Here's the thing. He has multiple outfits in this. More so than, the one outfit that he was on in the motorcycle in the first place, because the motorcycle broke down and they didn't have anything, like any luggage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, actually. Well, they pulled over at the weird fucking Pee-wee's Playhouse goddamn old people's home.
Yeah. This movie wants to be like Footloose. Like,
yep.
It wants to be Footloose.
Well, they go into that 50s bar, the Sugar Shack.
Yeah.
And it's literally like, oh, look at all the nerds doing rock and roll. We're going to show them how to do dance and rap.
Hip-hop. Yeah, we're going to do hip.
And this teenage girl is wearing her mom's maternity clothes. I don't know what the hell that dress of a fucking t-shirt was.
Even worse, the heavy-handed exposition the heavy-handed exposition that they have where the entire family sits down to watch the local news story about her,
Yep.
about how she's like, oh, she's this equestrian and she's so smart and like
Yep.
going through this thing. And then her dad, here's
Yep.
the thing. This movie's garbage. And it's just like, I don't know, if you were in witness protection, I wouldn't want to be on the fucking news.
No, that's something you don't even let your daughter go on.
Yeah, no, sorry.
No,
Not gonna
honey,
be-
there's no reason for them to interview you. You ride a horse recreationally.
Yeah, you ride a horse recreationally and you're going to get into college, I guess, or something. Your douchebag
Big
boyfriend.
news, white girl gets into college.
Yeah, it's like
Film at 11.
your douchebag boyfriend that drives a Corvette for some reason is and like you're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like that's like it's supposed to be the fucking movie Cars, which hadn't come out yet, but
Right.
like you know what I mean? Like, oh, we're stranded in this small town. How are we ever gonna like assimilate? And then like you want to be Footloose, you know, you want to be all these things, and you didn't hit any of them. You didn't hit any of them.
There's a movie that does this a lot better that I would suggest people go watch. It's called Crybaby by John Waters.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
That's-
Is 100%.
That's this movie done well.
Yes. 1,000%. Yes.
With all
You know,
without
'cause-
all the yups.
Yeah. It's like I get it. I get it. It's like, oh, he's like a mysterious stranger, right? And it's just like, yeah, you wanted him to yeah, well, that's it.
He looks like he lost his helmet a
Well,
few too many times.
There's one. Look, this movie's not good. This
How
movie's
many
not
head
good.
injuries have you had? What is with those pants?
Oh, here's the thing. This man broke in, probably raped that teenager because here's the thing.
That was the most awkward scene ever.
I blinked and I missed the fact that he like stole her day planner or something, and like that was gonna be his big thing. And then instead of being, you know,
shoving mysterious ice in her mouth.
yeah, he just like puts ice in her mouth, and she's just like, oh, what's going on? And then he's just like, you got to be quiet. I don't want to wake your, you know, you can't wake your parents.
He's laying in her bed while she's asleep.
Yeah.
They don't know each other.
They don't know each other. And well, first of all, she's supposed to be cool with this. Second of all, it's just like, so did you just come here after you beat up her boyfriend and his friends? Is that what happened? Have you been here the whole time?
I like to watch you breathing.
Holy crap, man. Like, there's also this one scene before this where the brother is playing Super Mario Brothers 3, and all you can hear is the sound from Super Mario Brothers. That doesn't really fit in anywhere in this narrative, but I just needed to say that because
the Mario
it's
death sound.
it's
As
just
the fucking
acting.
dad's on the phone getting
Yeah.
some really bad news about
Oh,
like
that's the funniest thing is like I bet you that like they were like, yeah, that's like everybody's gonna know, and that's gonna be like, you know, cinema. It's gonna be cinema because they're gonna know the Mario death thing, and then you're gonna know that the dad got bad news. It's just
Right.
like, oh, fuck off, fuck
So-
right off.
so while we're there, here's an example. So the director, whose name is David Kellogg,
Yeah.
he has 136 directing credits on his IMDb. Okay. Do you know why?
Because it's one of those pseudonyms that real directors put in when the movies are going to be garbage.
No. He has 136 credits because he lists on his IMDb every fucking commercial. American Express supermarket, American Express gas station. He's just a guy. He's not a filmmaker. He's listed every single commercial that he's ever made on his IMDb. Lipton Tea, Bo.
Yikes.
As far as the writer, David Stenn.
Yeah, sure.
This is his only film writing credit. The rest are TV shows or TV movies. Did a bunch of Hill Street Blues, 1-90210 back in 1990, a couple 21 Jump Streets, One episode of the L World. Like, he's a working TV writer. He's done one episode of a bunch of stuff. So that's where the writing and directing combo is coming from. Now, if you thought to yourself, okay, well, this plot sucks. It's one musical montage after another, but hey, it looks wonderful.
Sure.
It's because it's the same director of photography as Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan.
Hold the fuck. Okay, you know what, Mike? I thought that we were going to be done after this. I'm done. I'm no more shows. No more shows. I'm sorry. It's been real fun, but fuck off. No.
You know, Stephen, when Schindler looks at all the dying Jews, I think I'm going to use the lighting effect I used when Vanilla was jumping through that construction site with that young teenage girl. Vanilla.
Fuck off. All I can picture in my head, and he didn't do this, but it's like you're talking about somebody like Werner Herzog that's coming in, and like, what I will do is I will have the ice shimmer into the lens as she wakes up to make sure that her innocence is being lost. And then we will be revealing Vanilla. Oh, no. Fuck off. Fuck this movie.
So, Stephen, when I was doing Cool as Ice, there was this low-angle shot of Vanilla jumping his motorcycle over a fence.
The Corvette.
I think we used that for the storming of Normandy. I think that's how we're going to open the movie. It'll be wonderful. Yeah. The thing drops down. It's just like Vanilla jumping his neon yellow, his canary yellow motorcycle over the nerd's Corvette.
I saw the way that you did that speed ramping when everybody was just like in the house for some fucking reason. And I loved it. And I was thinking when, everything comes, crashing down and hurting inside and Vin Diesel's going to be there and he's about to get shot. I need you to convey that intense emotion.
So if the cinematic quality of Vanilla Ice and his teenage love interest running through an abandoned construction site looked familiar, it's because the same guy also was a director of photography on Jerry Maguire.
Oh, of course.
Love stories are love stories, man.
Yeah, right.
Tom, when Vanilla was doing his love scene.
Yeah. Right before she's gonna run away with him on the motorcycle, and her douchebag boyfriend, who has a broken nose because Vanilla Ice just beat him with a baseball bat.
Hospitalized someone halfway through this movie, by the way.
Yeah. I need you to think. Show me the money.
Mm-hmm.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
And then, hey, if I can have a suggestion, right? The little boy should have the same manic energy as the kid from Cool as Ice. Who, poor kid.
Do you think when he was setting up the shot for Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln, because yes, director of photography in Lincoln, he goes, Daniel, I'm sorry, Mr. Lincoln, because I understand your method. When Vanilla was jumping his motorcycle.
When Vanilla was getting pulled into the weeds by the girl, because I'm pretty sure that they were going to have consensual sex that time, because he definitely boned that girl in his bed, in her own bed, without her knowing, because he drugged her with the ice cube and then had his way with her after hospitalizing her boyfriend.
How this is one of the luckiest bastards ever. I mean, this him becoming obviously Steven Spielberg's go-to director of photography, because he's done all of them. Like I said, Schindler's List. He did Amistad. He did Saving Private Ryan. He did AI. Catch Me If You Can. Lincoln. Literally all of Steven Spielberg's movies, including Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which is more in line with Vanilla. But. Wow, lucky son of a bitch, just to catch Steven Spielberg's eye, because his career.
Are you telling me that
his career could have gone a lot more similar to the director's career of let me see here, Bud Light Pencil Pusher.
Are you telling me that Steven Spielberg this whole time is a huge Vanilla Ice fan?
He's a huge Cool as Ice fan. He doesn't know who Vanilla Ice is.
Yeah.
He's a massive fan of Cool as Ice, though. He was actually here for Michael Gross.
Yeah. Right.
The Michael Gross witness protection storyline.
God, this movie is garbage. Like, and then like they go to this mechanic who's trying to fix his buddy's motorcycle
with Jack McGee and Jesse Ventura's stunt double as the fucking weird sound effects using henchmen.
Yeah.
Who also just want to sit out in front of his house, eat cheeseburgers, and then regurgitate them onto the lawn.
I just don't understand how
that happened.
Like the whole thing is so stupid because like Vanilla Ice is like talking to them like once and the dad sees them outside and at no point does he like call the police.
No.
Like,
and I mean, he's in witness protection, right? And I've seen My Blue Heaven. Those people have handlers. At the very least, you got a business card with a phone number on it. Hey, pal, I think I've been made here. We need a new fucking identity.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, but those guys that made me required to be here are outside. We should probably do something about that.
With some guy who I'm pretty sure raped my daughter last night, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know.
These two ruffians with a fast food addiction want money.
Yeah, and it's like, look, here's the thing. You don't know who's in on it, who's not in on it. So I understand that, like, mild confusion in the beginning. Sure. Like, but the one that I don't understand is, how did Vanilla Ice get the cassette tape?
Oh, it was on the doorstep. He was going to see Kat, and there was an envelope on the front steps, and he just kind of picked it up like you would pick up a newspaper and be like, "Here's your newspaper." He picked it up and be like, "Yo, there's a taco with a tape in it."
This movie's so bad.
Yo, look at this here. There's a piece of paper. It got something in it for you.
This movie has the same like quote unquote like cinema moments that like you would get from like a 12-year-old making a movie, right? 100%. Because like they go to the construction site and
rumor has it that Vanilla Ice had script approval on this.
Yeah, of course he did.
Which makes so much sense when you listen to the very little dialogue that is in there.
Yeah.
It sounds nonsensical.
Yes. And so like they get to the construction site the first time and they hold on the shot of the like pavement pounder or whatever the hell that thing was. And they hold on it for a while. And I'm like, do they think that this is an artistic metaphor for Vanilla Ice is about to plow that girl? Is that what we're doing? And then sure enough, it gets called back in the tape because Vanilla Ice recognizes it from the construction site. He's like, "Oh, that's where your little brother is."
Noise.
I know that noise. Your little brother's there. Let's go get him. We're gonna ride in like the Magnificent Seven. It's gonna be cool. And it's just like, is that what we were doing? Is that you think that like that is like cinema?
And then when they play the tape, Vanilla's gonna know.
Vanilla's gonna
know from the construction site because of the pounding that we already established in the first act. I am a genius.
I am a genius. Also, yeah, he might have had script approval. He didn't have final edit approval because they had him talk as little as possible. Little as possible.
His jacket had more words than he had dialogue.
Yeah.
By the way, I've been waiting to get there. Did you notice some of the words? Because I have the whole goddamn list.
Oh, please send me the list because I tried to read the back of it. I tried to read it 3 times. I know that I read it 3 times. It didn't register, and I was like, you know what? I don't care.
So Vanilla Ice is wearing a black leather jacket with white writing all over it, and it has, and I read, danger. Deep, down by law, freeze, hype, ice, lust, yeah, rollin', sex me up, yup, a question mark, dope, and the letters JK surrounded by a star. His jacket is a fucking TikTok video.
It is. I can't. I like.
Oh yeah, yup.
Also, everything in this movie is just so ass backwards. The dad finally decides to call the police, and instead of like 4 hours ago, like the minute you saw the police that you should have you are hiding from at your doorstep. The fact that you didn't call them immediately is stupid. But then you decided that it was just like, no, it was Vanilla Ice's fault. And we have to go to where they're staying because even though I know exactly where he's staying, he's been a threat this whole time.
Let's go rough up these two crazy old people across the street.
And then through no actual logic, right? The crazy old people just start defending him as their grandson.
The movie makes no sense.
Well, it's like, again, like you wanted to, the way that the end of this movie plays out, they wanted to have this triumphant moment where like he vanquishes the bad guy and we like bring the town together somehow.
Yep.
And that doesn't read or play or
they loosely tie the two bad guys to the hood of a car. And they're literally like, hey, get me out of here. Like Jack McGee, who's the shorter, fat bad guy, wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Like I think in the end, he's literally covering his face as they're driving up. Like, no, I'm done. I'm done taking part in this nonsense. I don't want to be here anymore.
This movie's awful. Get me the fuck out of here.
So the role of Kathy, the lead girl, ended up going to, where is it here? Kristin Minter, who, as I mentioned, probably the most notable thing she's done was Heather, the older cousin to Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. She's done stuff. She's a working actress, and she's been steady working mostly in TV and stuff. But that would probably be the most exposure, facial exposure she's had. However, the list of people who turned this role down is fun.
Yes.
Winona Ryder, Jennifer Connelly, Drew Barrymore, Shannon Doherty, Jennifer Aniston, Uma Thurman, Martha Plimpton, Courtney Cox, Jenny Garth, Tori Spelling, all turned down the role of Kathy. Gwyneth Paltrow, who at the time was unknown, she only had one TV movie as her acting credit, was offered the lead role in this movie, and her father, Bruce Paltrow, forbid it as it would ruin her career.
Yes.
Father knows best.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah. What a nightmare. Let's see. If there's anything else on the speaking of Blue Hawaii, another person that was offered the role of Kathy that turned down, Lisa Marie Presley.
Oh,
swear to God. Who, has never acted.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm not going to be in this movie.
Why not? I'm not an actor.
I'm not an actor. I'm barely a singer. I'm barely a singer. The only reason anybody cares about my music at all is because my dad is Elvis, and maybe at this point my husband is Michael Jackson.
She literally has 3 actress credits to her name. All of them music videos. All of them she plays the role of Lisa Marie Presley.
Yeah.
One of them was Michael Jackson. 2 of them were her own. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
sure.
It. 3 acting credits, and she was going to lead this movie.
Yeah. No.
And even she was like, no, this is a bad idea.
This is a bad idea.
Vanilla what?
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. Go watch Blue Hawaii.
He's going to wear the overall shorts with a fanny pack, and you guys are good with that. And on the back it says, oh, yeah.
He's in a motorcycle gang or something.
A motorcycle hip hop gang? What? Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never acted before, but this sounds stupid.
I don't understand where they're driving from or to. That's never explained. I know it's not important, but it's one of those details that feels like would make this movie go.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're leaving whatever gig the opening credits were in that weird hallway with the swinging light bulbs.
Yeah.
Where Monique, who became more of a character than she really needed to be, gave him a number, and she just kept Her name just kept popping up over and over. You know, like Monique, the whore.
First of all, you don't know who Monique is. Second of all, why would I carry around my girlfriend's number? Like, hey, I know that you're 17 years old and I'm supposed to be at least in my mid-20s because you're in school and I'm not or something.
Here's the thing. We're about an hour 20 in and we still haven't talked about his goddamn hair.
Look, that's the only thing that made sense in this movie.
It was shingled.
Yeah, look, here's the thing, though. I've seen Vanilla Ice before, so I know that that's what he looks like, and that's okay.
It was a pompadour.
That asshole
faded.
That asshole in the middle of the night, after vanquishing a bad guy, decides that it's going to be a solid idea to put the sunglasses on, wink at the dad. The dad go, all right, go have your way with my teenage daughter. He then jumps a dude's Corvette, and then we have another music video. This movie, the hair.
The movie doesn't end for 10 more minutes.
The hair is the only thing that makes sense. We've all seen that interview. Yeah, no, their version goes dun 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 dun. Ours goes dun 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 ding dun dun dun. See, it's different. It's not the same. We've all seen that. We've all seen it. But God, the hair. I know. I've seen the hair. This asshole is stupid.
So, of the $6 million budget this had, according
$500 million went to his hair.
According to Mr. Van Winkle, $1 million of it went to him for acting.
Yeah.
He got paid $1 million on
McMahon,
a $6 million budget.
Vince McMahon famously told The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin right before they were going to main event WrestleMania for the first time. He cut him a check for $1 million each and said, now go give me $1 million performance. And they did.
They did.
And this asshole fucking thought the same thing. And instead, we got, yup.
Well, when the box office comes back at $1.2 million, yeah. They've literally just barely paid for Vanilla Ice. Vanilla.
God, I hate it.
Before we wrap up, did I tell the story from the video store last week on the show or off the show?
I don't remember.
Okay. So when I was running video stores in the late 90s, there was a woman who came in and
bought the tape. Yeah.
So she wanted to rent it for her daughter's birthday slumber party thing, and we didn't have it in stock. And it was out of print at this point. And I called a bunch of vendors, and finally I was able to track one down, and it was going to cost her $135.
So much.
So I call her up, and I'm like, I got good news, bad news. Found a copy of the 1991 classic Cool as Ice starring Vanilla Ice. It's $135 though. And she goes, okay, order it. I'm like, you are like the best and worst mother at the same time, because your daughter's not going to like this movie.
The question I have is like, and I'm assuming you didn't have the follow-up of like, she said, okay, order it, and just assumed that she would pay the rental cost.
Oh, no. She knew she was going to be owning this tape for $135.
Yeah.
Like that was, I was like, you have to buy it. Like, you have to buy it, and it's going to cost this. And she was like, yeah, order it. Like,
that's insane. Was it? Oh, I wonder why. I guess because it was out of print, right?
It was because it was out of print. Yeah. I don't know. You know,
she should have just went to like a Goodwill store. There's probably one on the shelf.
It was harder to track that stuff down before the internet.
That's true.
You know, and yeah, there wasn't a lot of those used video stores around and stuff.
Yeah.
At least she's a suburban mom. She ain't gonna know about that shit.
Right.
Yeah. So that was an interesting one. That was my Cool as Ice story. And to the point that when I told my district manager, I was like, okay, so I got to order this tape. It's really fucking expensive because they were gonna see it on the the bill. And I'm like, and they're like, well, you got to get money up front. It's like, all right. They said you had to get at least half of it up front. I'm like, all right. So I had to take half her money up front for Cool as Ice. It was such an ordeal for this dog shit movie.
That's insanity. That's absolute insanity. What a stupid person. You're
Yeah.
stupider than the people in this movie.
Yeah.
God, well, that's
Because
cool.
it was in the late 90s. It was like 98, 99. So it's like I question how her daughter, who's having a slumber party birthday, so that puts her in the early teen phases,
right.
how she was a fan of this. Like, did she somehow stumble across Mom's To the Extreme cassette tape?
Yeah, I would have to assume that there was a like. It's tough. I'm trying to think about
wasn't
what
like
time.
There
Do you
wasn't a
have a
Vanilla
year?
Ice revival.
No, but do
I
you
mean,
have like a year at some point? Like
It was like
at least
98, 99.
so like I mean, the question is there and around that time, is there some sort of boy band version? You know what I mean? I can't. Well, no, not of Vanilla Ice, but like, is Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? Are they making some sort of TV show thing? And the mom thought that this would be a fun, kitschy thing to do at a slumber party.
I mean, I guess I would have to assume that this must have been the mom's idea,
Oh, it's
and
definitely
she
the
had
mom's
way
idea.
too much money.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, look, I love movies, and I've spent money on movies. I spend probably too much money on movies, but that's a lot for a VHS tape of a movie for a slumber party. $135 for Cool as Ice is a lot of money.
Right.
Like a $3 rental charge is pushing it.
Yes. Yeah.
You are getting that back on time with no late fees, because that movie is just not worth the late
Oh,
fees.
you didn't watch the whole thing. You were just like, no, thank you. You got halfway through and you were like, no, thank you. I paused.
Did he
the
just
movie.
jump a fence?
Yeah.
I'm out.
I got halfway through the movie and I paused it because I was like, I need to get up and walk around. I need to get up and walk around.
It was like a rough flight for Eddie.
Yeah, I gotta.
I think my feet are losing feeling. I gotta move some blood around.
Just gonna move. I'm gonna go open the fridge, look in, not take anything.
My body's failing me because of Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, like at this point, I would take a Smirnoff Ice. I don't care. But I was just like, I was done. I was done with that movie. And then I had the smart idea to watch the fucker again with the riff tracks. People.
At least the riff tracks made me laugh, like not ironically. Like I thought they were funny. I thought they were really funny.
I'm gonna have to.
I think you were
back.
angry. I think because they're very much like what they were doing is very similar to what we do, and I'm like, that's why I thought you would definitely enjoy it, because it's like
love
after having to sit through Cool as Ice straight, like it's a good like, oh, I get it. There's other people that feel the way I feel. Like, yes, what is with that jacket?
Yeah. No, riff tracks. District Science Theater 3000, amazing. They're wonderful. I highly recommend.
Loyal to the lizard people, yo. What?
Yeah. I just.
Oh God.
I hate it.
People.
I hate it. I hate.
Is that Cool as Ice?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the last episode of That Movie Show, because I'm done. I can't do it.
Okay, so I think to wrap up Cool as Ice, we can say as far as recommendations go watch Cry Baby by John Waters.
Yeah, go watch Cry Baby.
This movie done well.
It's a much better version. Or Footloose, or Dirty Dancing, or fucking Blue Hawaii. I don't know if you know this, but I loved Blue Hawaii, and the entire time I'm sitting here watching this movie being like, fucking wish this was Blue Hawaii. Fucking wish Elvis was here. God. There was that time that Elvis was here and he was singing and he was dancing, and then he started fighting people in a tiki bar. God, the only thing that Elvis didn't do is actual like a kung fu movie. I wish he did a kung fu movie. Oh, you know what would be really fun? An Elvis kung fu movie. Oh, this movie's still happening? Oh, God. What? Why is that asshole? That asshole was in the hospital, but looks like he only had a broken nose. Yes. Okay, you're right. I can't.
He kidnaps the kid, takes him for a motorcycle ride.
Yeah. Don't worry. I told my mom I was with my sister, and I told my sister I was with my dad. It's foolproof.
Let's drive through town flipping people off.
let's I did my hair differently or something. And then the dad blames Vanilla Ice. It's just like, look, here's the thing, Dad, I get it. I know that you know that Vanilla Ice
Did those
had
criminals do this to your hair?
No, he thought
Is that what they do? Is that what kidnappers do? They fucking
No.
style hair?
He still thought it was Vanilla Ice at that point. He thought Vanilla Ice kidnapped his son. And
Oh my God.
it's like, again, don't worry about the boy because he snuck into your daughter's bedroom while she was still asleep and probably sexually assaulted her.
He snuck in twice.
Yeah.
He snuck back in to throw the fucking, I don't know, she gave him a wedding ring. It was really weird.
Yeah.
This makes me different than Monique. It's like, yeah, Monique gave him a number. You gave him a wedding ring. I don't know if we're ready for that yet.
Yeah. Fuck. And you're like 17.
Something like that. You got a lot of trapper keepers, girl.
What the fuck? Oh, and your 35-year-old boyfriend that's like a businessman on Wall Street.
Oh shit! This movie.
Fuck you. Yeah, fuck this movie. This fucking movie.
Well. If we come back next week, Eddie, what do you think we want to do here?
I don't know.
I think we're due for something a little better.
How about Fast 5?
I was going to say as a nice, back-to-back companion piece, being as which this movie was based on it, I was going to say Boys in the Hood, but Fast 5 is fine.
I just want to watch Vin Diesel and The Rock is really what I want to do.
All right. Is that what you are in your rewatches of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched the first 4 and I was just like, I haven't watched Fast 5 yet. And from a couple of things that I heard about Fast 9, it's everything I hoped and dreamed. So my AMC A-list kicked back in yesterday.
Okay.
It kicked back in yesterday, and I'm really excited because like I held off on not seeing Fast 9 like in the theaters right away because I knew that my subscription was going to kick back in.
Sure.
And I can't wait to like just watch movies. There's a Purge movie that came out today.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna go watch it. I don't think I've seen any of the Purge movies outside of the first one.
The first. Okay, so a brief synopsis of how I feel about the Purge series because I own all of them except the last one, and I like them. But the first one was very clever and inventive, and it was a very well done independent movie, much like the Paranormal Activity, which they're both Blumhouse. The first Paranormal Activity, very creative, very well done. They had to work within their independent budget. Very well done. Then they just went off the fucking rails.
Yes. Well, that's the problem with the Blumhouse movies. Blumhouse gets movies done very well.
Great on the cheap, and then they give the sequels a shitload of money, and they're like, wait a minute, we don't need all this.
Well, because they
blow up an 18-wheeler. Okay.
Yeah, they make the first one for like $100,000. Yeah. And then it's just like, oh, it brought in $500 million. Sure, you can have $5 million for the next budget, and then they don't know what to do with it.
Right. It's the escalation process because both series have. God, I think this is the fifth or sixth Purge.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity, I think, has 5 or 6 as well.
Right.
And they're like, they just keep escalating the money, and what it does is it opens the world up in a situation where the world didn't need to be open, and it worked a hell of a lot better when it was closed.
Right.
It was like, this worked great in this house.
I think I talked about it on last week's show. Or I talked about it on the history show. I don't remember.
Purged last week's show from my memory.
Yeah, it's I would love to see like the Purge movies, like you said, they got too big, right? Where
they're not even horror movies anymore. They're straight up action movies. I mean, you might as well have Arnold with a tree on one arm and a minigun in the other. First
of all, you should watch. You should follow Arnold Schwarzenegger on TikTok. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Right.
So do that. It's delightful. He's delightful.
Doing it now.
But he, the first Purge movie is about a family, and I think that that series would be better if you followed individual families, right? And you're telling individual stories as opposed to like election year is about a senator, I believe, that wants to end the purge, right? That's her like whole deal is that she wants to like not have the purge be a thing anymore, and they're trying to kill her for some reason.
His name on TikTok is Arnold Schnitzel.
Yeah.
All right.
I just watched one yesterday where it was him just like riding a bicycle around.
Yep. He's got like a Family Guy clip in here. He's basically like me on TikTok. He's
having a blast.
I'm going to point my camera at the TV and be hilarious. Look at Peter Griffin, fat bastard.
Yeah, he's having a blast. He's having a blast. You should have a blast following him because
Arnold is living his best quarantine life.
Yeah, he's having a blast. He's doing
the
great.
Pandemic's not over yet.
Yeah, but it's like you got too big and like too much about classism and stuff. And it's just like, no, you should have just told me stories that exist in this very interesting concept. Yep. Once a year, there are no rules.
Yep.
And so it's like, you know what would be really fun is like a heist movie. A heist movie where there's no rules. And like you have to like, so you can just go rob these corporations.
Right.
But they have an army in there and like they're gonna kill you. There's also people outside that might want to kill you. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, that's a very interesting concept. But instead it's just like, oh no, we're getting to like socio-political economic classes and all that stuff. 100%. And it's just like this franchise would have been better if you went the other way and thought small.
Yeah, it was like one of them, I think it was it's probably the second or third one. One of the main through lines of it was like the underprivileged black family, the father of the family sold himself to a bunch of rich white people to let them purge or fucking torture him so that his family would have more money, and that was like a whole thing. And and it's just like they like I said they got a ton of money and just kind of went off the rails. It was like. It was like, taking, El Mariachi for 7,000 and Desperado for 7 million. Only the difference is Robert Rodriguez used the 7 million effectively.
Right.
He didn't try to send a message to everybody.
Yeah. So
he's just like, oh no, you mean I can make the bomb bigger? Oh, cool, man. All right.
Yeah.
Salma, walk across the street. We're going to blow some shit behind you. All right, cool.
Yeah. Oh, I can actually pay somebody that knows what they're doing to blow that up. Okay.
Right. Okay, cool.
Cool.
We can get Cheech in this movie? Shit.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, Fast 5 next week.
Fast 5. Dwayne
All right.
Rock Jesus.
Thank you for joining us for Cool as Ice. Mike Wendt, Eddie McCabe. You can follow us on social media at Mike Wendt, at the Eddie McCabe. Eddie, what's the new podcast you got? The history one?
Yeah, it is. It is One If by Land, Two If by Tea. It's a comedy history podcast.
And you can find it on your social media, correct?
Yeah, you can find it on the social media. I tweet it out every Monday.
There you go.
Every Monday.
And this show you can find on any and all podcast apps. The Facebook is facebook.com/thatmovieshowtv. Website is thatmovieshow.net. Hashtag thatmovieshow if you got any recommendations for us that are not cool as ice, and we will follow along with them. And Eddie, anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right, then we'll see you next week for Fast 5.
Bye, everybody.
Valley, Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic